All right, Natalie, thank you so much. Again, Frank Ferdowsi with Sunday Hill Partners. We're introducing you and the Cleveland market to our potential clients. Uh, I'm thankful to you for making the time today. Um, Talk to me a little bit about you. Maybe we could get started there. A little bit about what you do today, what your role is, and how you came to be in it.
Sure. Well, thanks so much for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to be with you. My career in real estate spans just short of 20 years. I began my career down in the South Florida market. I had a small boutique brokerage in Boca Raton, Florida, that I was the owner and founder of. I owned that brokerage from about 2005 until about 2011. In 2011, I was recruited over to join One Sotheby's International Realty, which is hubbed out of Miami and has offices all throughout both Miami-Dade and Broward County. Now they've spanned incredibly wider since then. I worked for One Sotheby's from 2011 until 2016 when I was recruited to jump over in the Anywhere brands to the Coldwell Banker side, and I took on a management role on the corporate side in northern Colorado. So I did a little bit of a cross-country move and worked out there for Coldwell Banker on the corporate side, managing for their Loveland office and their Fort Collins office, which are the two northernmost cities in Colorado for the last 7.5, 8 years. So I got out there in 2016. I was there until the latter part of 23. And then I moved out to the Cleveland market, which is my native area where I was born and raised. So
Okay.
within there, I had a tremendous amount of success with my own brokerage. I loved it. I had about 6 agents working under me. Problem with having a small boutique brokerage is oftentimes you can't scale the resources that you need to offer tools and systems out to the agents that they require. So with that being very prevalent as I grew in volume and and transaction success, I took the opportunity to go over to One because the resources and the tools and the platforms were there. So it was just a kind of an easy plug and play transition, if you will. At One Sotheby's, I thrived mainly in the waterfront market on the Hillsborough Mile, Fort Lauderdale, Parkland, and I did a little bit in Biscayne Bay. I had some pretty notable sales down there. I was very much thriving in my career when they tapped me to take the opportunity to manage. So, plus I had some family connections out in Colorado, so very welcome change for me. With that all being said, I went out to Colorado and did a complete shift. Management's entirely different. I do love it, and it's what propelled me to take on additional roles out there. I started in a smaller office in the Loveland market, grew into managing both the Loveland office and the Fort Collins office, and directed their entire global luxury division, which ran for the Coldwell Banker Company offices throughout the state of Colorado and served our affiliate markets throughout Colorado as well. So all the mountain areas too. So that was a fun career journey. And when I decided, just for personal reasons, that my husband and I wanted to move back to the Cleveland area, where again I'm a native of. My daughter's in college here, a lot of roots here, family, friends. We really wanted to return. And when we did, it was just a few short months that the ownership of this Sotheby's office decided to make a shift in management and asked me to take on the role of principal broker. So now I am leading the office, Lead Sotheby's International Realty office that's based out of the Pepper Pike, Ohio area. And we have a small satellite office over in Chagrin Falls as well that we have a team pretty much situated out of. So technically two locations. And I've been in this role, I've been with the brokerage for about a year, a little over a year. I've been in this role for the last just about 5 months.
Very nice.
So yeah, so that's a little bit about my history. Did you want me to give you a little more depth on anything?
I think you covered a lot of it. I'm really grateful. You've had a lot of experience, multiple markets, Florida, Colorado, and now Cleveland. Um, I'd love for you to get into anything more recent. How's your experience been now that you are leading these offices, and taking on this new role? What's that been like for you?
Sure. So I feel like Cleveland is a very interesting, attractive place to be as it pertains to real estate. Leading the office is amazing. I have some great producers in my charge, and it's a privilege to be aligned with them every day. I love the Sotheby's brand. Save for the time that I spent running my own brokerage, which again, it can be wonderful, it can be challenging. The Sotheby's brand offers so much. So being aligned with the Sotheby's brand and having the ability to lead an office is incredible. I feel like it's a little special here in the Cleveland market because Cleveland offers so much. Being born and raised here and then having lived other places, I think I have a unique ability to talk to not only what I loved, but what ultimately brought me back from markets like that are so appealing, like South Florida, Colorado. I mean, those are markets you hear people speak very well about, but I feel that this market offers such such unique features to it that are very attractive. I feel like this market's caught on tremendously in the last few years. Post COVID, post the pandemic, I feel like when people had the ability to pick up and go different places, Cleveland offered such diversity as it comes to cultural seasonality. There's a great amount of affordability in our market, especially as it pertains to other markets where we have a great deal of migration from. So if you look at markets on the East Coast, the West Coast, the Southern Coast, not so much the coast, but the Southern states, we have a nice influx from some of these areas because we have um, such historic relevance and also a ton of modern day amenities that people are attracted to. Like I said, we have great cultural offerings. We have a ton of medical industry. So it's definitely attractive to people if they're coming to seek medical care or if they're coming to become educated in the medical field. So there's a tremendous amount that this area offers. And in the last year, we've seen population grow. We've seen, a lot of different industries come in, a lot of tech, a lot of different open opportunities that we've always had, but I think now there's a brighter light shining on the area.
I love that. And thank you for sharing that. That's obviously these are things that, as I mentioned to you, I did not know. And I'm thankful to you for giving me color. And it's very interesting, I wasn't aware that Cleveland is this migrating sort of hub now from different parts of the country. But you are quite right. There are certainly pockets around the country where there's still value to be had even in the luxury market as compared to some of the sort of high intense pricing.
Mhm.
So if you will also share a little bit more, and I'd love to come back to some of these things if you don't mind. I'd love
Sure,
to learn a little
certainly.
bit more about the Cleveland market, but I'd love to come back and
Sure.
talk, learn a little bit more about you personally and your
Mhm.
interests and your motivations. But if you'll talk a little bit about the Cleveland market right now, what are, if someone really doesn't know the market, how should they sort of position themselves and understand, you know, sort of main Cleveland and surrounding areas? How would you sort of paint that picture?
Sure, that's a big question. That's a big question that could have an answer that could go on for a very long time. But as I mentioned earlier, I feel like Cleveland offers a tremendous amount. So right in the heart of Cleveland, there are some thriving areas that are very popular right now. Close to downtown, Ohio City, Tremont, very appealing. Tons of culture, tons of great restaurants, tons of ease of accessibility. So everything in super close proximity, lots of art, lots of theater, tons of culture. So I could go on and on about the areas. A little bit more of an urban kind of a footprint. As you go a little further east outside of Cleveland, you've got beautiful suburbs on the east side of Cleveland. There's gorgeous suburbs out on the west side of Cleveland. Lots of historic significance along the water in the Lakewood Rocky River area. On the east side of Cleveland, Pepper Pike and Gates Mills are beautiful. Tons of century plus old properties, a lot of tear downs, a lot of great opportunities for builders and people that are interested in property renovation projects. So tons of people that are looking for the ultimate purchase, so to speak, but a lot of people that are looking for opportunities to come in and renovate or do quite a few things with a property that has some historic significance, because there's plenty of those in the Cleveland area. Hunting Valley is an amazing area. Honestly, any of the markets in the east side are absolutely fantastic. So I could go on and on. A lot of them have different little pockets of significance, but again, we're all in close proximity to the Cleveland Clinic, to university hospitals, to downtown Cleveland. We have three airports in the Northeastern Ohio, greater Cleveland area, if you will, that can accommodate private aircraft. So we have Cuyahoga, Cleveland Hopkins, which is our main airport, Cuyahoga County Airport, which is right inside of the Richmond Heights, Highland Heights area, and then Burke Lakefront, which is right up on the water. And tons of ease getting in and out of Cleveland. I will say we're kind of uniquely situated, just a short flight to New York, a short flight to Chicago, a short flight down to Florida. So I think that for someone who has kind of a multi-home setup, we're really nicely located to be central to everything.
Very nice. So it sounds like the Cleveland market has a lot of opportunities, remodel and rehabbing opportunities,
Mhm.
but also that the proximity to the various sort of call them gateway cities, right, in the commercial
Yeah.
world.
Mhm.
Um, um, makes it an attractive opportunity as well for investors or people who just want to add to their portfolio.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
and it sounds like there's a lot of cultural vibrancy going on as well, the way you
Mhm.
described it. So I know that our clients do appreciate that, especially folks who are looking to hold properties for the long term. Could you talk about, so I can appreciate in downtown it would be a little challenging, but are there opportunities for larger estates in the Cleveland area as well?
Yes, it would be hard to define so specifically on our call what specifically those areas would be, because it would really be dependent on how large of an estate or a footprint someone was looking for. But we have fantastic areas that are still prime for growth. If you go just a little further outside of just east of the downtown Cleveland area, where you get into the east side suburbs, if you go a little south, getting closer to Summit County, there's areas like Hudson and Solon, some beautiful cities, Bainbridge, that still have quite a decent amount of land offerings that builders are so attracted to. And a lot of those cities have acreage minimums, so you can build a beautiful home that is on a piece of property to kind of match the footprint. So there's a ton of opportunity for building throughout the greater Cleveland area. Lots of still to kind of be established land, if you will, but plenty in terms of opportunities for builders.
Yeah, and that's something that I know has been an issue to highlight for at least one buyer.
Mhm.
And our Sotheby's Realty partner in New Jersey was very frank, like, hey, look, we don't have 100 acres out here, right? We
Mhm.
have 4 acre properties that go for $20 million. Whereas if you go to Texas, we have 3,000 acre ranches, right? And
Right,
so
right,
if there's a difference there.
mhm,
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to ask, like, are there opportunities
right.
for, 30, 40, 50 acres in Cleveland?
Yeah, so I have personal knowledge of a couple large parcel properties right now in the Solon area, in the Bainbridge area. Our landscape is very different than, like you mentioned, what you would see in a Texas market or an Oklahoma market. It's just not the same in terms of what the geographic area would offer specifically. But there's a great opportunity for building. I represent a builder exclusively right now that's taking a project out of the ground in the Willoughby Hills area, which is on the northeast side of Cleveland, very close proximity to two airports, Burke Lakefront and Cuyahoga County. And we are spanned over 29 acres, I believe, might be give or take just a little. And we're taking 12 properties, 12 custom homes out of the ground. So there's plenty of opportunities that mirror that specific example throughout the area. We also have a lot of great nature here. So we do have the metro parks that run through the Cleveland area, both from the east and the west side. So lots of retained mature landscaping, which is so nice when you're thinking of a new build concept, because as much as it's attractive, sometimes that mature landscaping that can stay intact and be protected is so appealing to people that are coming into a new construction development.
Very nice. And I really like that. That's something that is actually personally very close to my heart. And I
Mhm.
know that I know some of the folks that we're going to give a shout out to, they care deeply about protecting the environment and certainly protecting things that have been historically cared for. Right. And so you're absolutely right. And it adds to the lifestyle and the experience of a city. Um, and so, and I think the folks who don't have that are working towards um, creating those in their communities. The
Mhm.
one thing that comes to my mind is New York's High Line, which
Mhm.
was a very intentional effort to design that. I mean, which is a long way from how Cleveland already has it.
Mhm.
But you're absolutely right. And if you mentioned a builder, I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about that because that's one of the things that I'm going to lean towards
Mhm.
urge you about connecting with good, reliable folks who can execute on builds, maybe for clients who are bringing in and working with architects in other cities, maybe even internationally. So could you speak a little bit about this builder and maybe what that might look like?
Sure. So I won't give too many specifics just for the purpose of the call, but my builder's fantastic. He's a long-standing land developer in the greater Cleveland area with a tremendous amount of history in the Naples, Florida area as well. So a very established land developer. Also connected directly to a custom home builder who are very invested in the greater Cleveland area and in some projects throughout. I, again, exclusively represent the one in Willoughby Hills, which is 12 custom homes that are coming out of the ground. They have other projects as well that are kind of just coming to fruition. But they're very invested in the greater Cleveland area, very committed to quality products, sustainability. You mentioned green building. I feel that that's something that many builders these days are shifting towards. Yeah, so there's a ton of potential there with builders. We are heavy with builders and land developers in our area. Again, because we have these beautiful kind of green areas and parks that will remain protected. It kind of gives a unique spin on a new construction home building because it's not so canned, if you will, and kind of subdivision built out. It can have that uniqueness to it. So I feel like Cleveland's kind of a little bit of it's got its own little individual footprint, if you will, for new home builders.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, the Charlotte market should definitely take a cue from the Cleveland
Yeah.
market, sounds like.
Yeah.
Man,
And
and go ahead.
yeah. Florida too. I mean, don't get me wrong, love Florida, huge fan of Florida. I mean, I still do some referral business down there. I feel like we get to a point oftentimes where it's so much building in such a smaller area. And I love how here we have the ability to make it have the appearance that it's not so new, so sterile. Right now we have to wait, 15 years to have some mature landscaping. So Cleveland has that uniqueness to it, which is kind of fun.
So I think we've covered everything as far as sort of introducing the Cleveland market is concerned, but I had mentioned to you I'd like to come back. A couple of things. One, I'd like to learn a little bit more about you. What are things that you enjoy personally? You mentioned you have a daughter in college. I have a daughter who's a sophomore in college. I've been a
Mhm.
single parent for the last 12 years. So it's something that, it definitely wanted to come back and talk about a little bit more and know a little bit more about you, right? As a professional, as a person, what are things that you enjoy culturally in Cleveland? And, how have you sort of seen that evolve personally since you grew up in that market?
Well, I think everything here has changed. I mean, as much as things stay the same, and Cleveland is one of those areas that just wraps its arms around you. And it's filled with, incredible diversity, incredible culture, incredible potential in terms of any interest that you have, can pretty much be met here. If you're a nature lover, we have that. If you like the theater, we have that. The Cleveland Orchestra, the Cleveland Art Museum. I mean, you could go on and on. Like I said, if you're looking to get into the medical field or seeking care from the medical field, there's incredible hospital systems here. So I think Cleveland offers so much. My husband and I wouldn't say that we're necessarily involved in something. We're more just a little involved in everything. We're passionate about staying involved in the schools and the hospitals and being involved in the community wherever we can. We're property investors ourselves. We love the area. Yeah, my daughter is a junior. Can't believe that. She's a junior at Kent State and thriving, loves Cleveland. She's such a Cleveland girl at heart, which is hilarious because she was born down in Florida. So, Cleveland, like I said, it's just one of those areas that wraps its hands around you and you kind of just fall in love with it. So I can't say enough good things about it.
I love it. I'm very fortunate that I've made this wonderful connection
Mhm.
in Cleveland. I feel very fortunate. Truly, all of the professionals that I've connected with in this these family have been just world class, and
Mhm.
I'm thankful to have that continued connection here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick stop at this point.